Good evening, grave robbers, and welcome back to the television graveyard. We're your TV necromancers, Lara Prince and Noah Houlihan. We have come here tonight to examine the spirits of past television shows to find out which ones could be resurrected, should be resurrected, and which ones should just stay doomed. This is a podcast in which we'll analyze the history, the hype, and the aftermath of shows that ran only one season or only one episode. With me as always is TV's Noah Houlihan.
I don't want to be assassinated.
Oh good, because there are two things we were talking about possibly recording at this time, and I had a moment of, which one are we doing?
Yes, it's time for 13 Fear is Real! The finale episode here of Stay Doomed.
Ugh. So last we left off, it felt like the show was finally starting.
Yeah, it was finally starting to find its footing, with only 2 episodes left.
Don't get excited about it finding its footing.
Nope, it's gonna stumble. It's gonna stumble. So at this time of recording, we have now seen the whole show.
Yes.
We've finished episodes 7 and 8, and this will be our final breakdown of 13 Fear is Real. And I want to interrupt. I've had a really hard time saying the title of this show for a while.
Yeah.
Like, I always have to stop and think. And I realized I keep wanting to call it 1313 Fear in the Game.
Okay.
The reason for that is for so long we've talked about doing 1313 Mockingbird Lane.
Yeah.
That I keep thinking of that. And then I kind of correct myself and I'm like, no, it's 13. And then I want to say Death in the Game. Because that's a horror movie that I like. That's also a murder game show. About a guy who has to complete 13 tasks in order to win $1 million. It's a Dutch film? I want to say it's definitely not in English, but there is an English remake of it called 13 Sins with Ron Perlman. So every time I say 13 Fear is Real, that is me successfully stopping myself from saying 1313 Death in the Game.
Oh, see, I keep thinking 1313 Dead End Drive.
Yes, that as well. That as well. But, like, since I'm the one that goes back and edits this, I can pick up myself, like, having a small pause as I try to make sure I say the right words. And I just wanted to share why there was a struggle.
So, 5 players remain, and there are 2 episodes left. We already know that Erica will kill in this episode.
Yes,
it was spoiled at the end of the last episode. We open on the players just starting to lose it.
Yes.
Because the slaughterhouse is gross. It's dark. There's very little natural light except for one room. It smells bad. And Ted really thinks that, like, the producers are now trying to drive them over the edge.
Yes, this is more of a prison than a slaughterhouse, Ted says. Or, as I translated that, Ted is now as bored as you are watching this.
He also makes a comment about it being an insane asylum, and it's like,
I want to talk to.
It's awful, isn't it? This is like an insane asylum. I'm the one who should be wearing a straitjacket, because I'm going nuts.
This was clearly a line fed to him by the producers to set up what the challenge will be.
Yeah, which is why I wanted to make sure I mentioned it, because, yeah, we got foreshadowing, so do they. So, I did have the note of, it probably makes it a little easier for them to film if there's very little natural light in here.
Yes.
They can do more, because they're not worried about the opposite of losing daylight, because they're only filming at night. Or are they? So, everyone's broken into... We're still in Boys and Girls.
Yeah.
We never get out of that in this game.
No, we do not.
So, it's Ted, Nasir, and Adam, and then Erica and Melissa. And we kind of get a talking head about how much Melissa trusts Erica.
Yes.
So, Ted kind of takes Erica, who he knows to be the killer, because she did try to get him in the last episode. And Nasir eavesdrops. They want Erica to go kill Adam.
Yes.
And Erica's like, I'm not the killer.
Yes.
Erica's still trying to deny it.
Well, this is a very interesting thing. She says, I'm not the killer because of how things went down. She's trying to imply that because Ted knew she was the killer, she had the killer power stripped away from her. And she's kind of trying to talk in this way of like, I'm not allowed to talk about it, but I'm not the killer anymore, to send Ted off the trail. I think this is an interesting strategy, but I think it would have worked better if Erica went up to Ted and said, hey, I'm not the killer anymore. We have to find the death box.
Yeah.
Because I think Ted would have believed that more.
And the next scene is Adam finding out from Ted that Ted was setting Adam up to be assassinated.
Yes, Ted in his...
The social game falls apart.
I don't know. I think this is a very interesting play. Ted, in his Philadelphia shirt, by the way, he's just wearing a shirt that says Philadelphia, basically is like, listen, we were going to set you up to die. We're sorry. You now need to rely on us, because Erica will kill one of us if we don't stick together. Because Ted now has to realize, like, if Erica's playing this game, Erica will not kill Melissa just because she had every opportunity to do so. So now if she gets any of the guys alone, they're gone.
Yeah.
Because that was Erica basically saying, like, I'm not loyal to you, Ted. I'll kill you if we're alone.
Yeah.
So this is like, he's changing up his gameplay. Again, Ted's the only person playing the game right now. Like, because Ted says all this to Adam, and Adam's response is, I don't want to be assassinated. And he says it like he's going to cry.
I don't want to be assassinated.
No, but you cannot be.
Yeah, like, it's distinctly a bit whiny.
Yeah, like, not like he's hurt and stuff. It's, I don't want to get a booster shot. I don't want to. Ted also says, listen, you got to understand, in this game, you either conspire or get conspired against.
Yep, he says that.
You know, maybe kill or be killed would have been a better sentence here.
And then we kind of see no one trusts each other, so there's a point where all five remaining players have to go pee together.
Yes, there's a pee party.
And then I have my next three notes. Oh good, daybreak. So fun. This show is so redacted boring.
Well, you missed all the sexual tension. Because there's a great moment where Ted's like, listen, never nap alone. It's like, oh, that's Ted being like, I need you to sleep with me.
I'm so bored by this point of the show. There is a great... Now, we don't get enough of this in my opinion. Everyone but Melissa now knows that Erica is the killer.
Yes.
I would love more of just Melissa derping about her day. Like, just Melissa going about her day.
Playing with Hot Wheels.
The only person who's, like, pretty safe from the killer, just going about her business and being like, I wonder who the killer is. And everybody else just being like, bro.
Because we also get this absolutely insane part where Erica wants to, like, talk to Adam. And Adam is, like, flanked by Nasir and Ted, so he doesn't get killed. And Erica's like, what's up with you? What's going on? And Adam says a group of words that are not a sentence. He's just like, I heard things bad, scary bad things bad, scary.
I just know something bad. Scary bad. I can't tell you right now, but it's scary bad. Like, I have warranted scary bad feelings.
Yeah.
But, like, to the point where I'm like, is he hammered?
It does sound like he's trying to threaten Erica, but he sounds so dumb.
It's this scary, it's bad, scary thing. Like, when all of the characters on Futurama have brain slugs, like, that's how he sounds. Scary, bad things.
The guys all decide to go shower together.
This is an unbelievable moment.
Because Erica is like, do I have to kill Melissa instead? I really don't want to.
Yeah.
And Sho and Ted shower in their swimsuits.
Yes.
Because they don't... And I actually 100% understand why in a reality show you wouldn't want to take the risk. because I found this very interesting when I rewatched Rock of Love.
I remember this.
Because I rewatched Rock of Love, and you all know I did. In the Hulu versions of Rock of Love, they were uncensored.
Yeah.
And I found that to be very ethically cloudy of these, the women in Rock of Love probably signed whatever they signed with the understanding that it would be pixelated for cable television.
Yeah.
And I don't think they ever truly thought the nudity would be out for public consumption.
Yeah, it's very odd.
And so I don't question why anyone would go to great lengths to never be nude in a way they could be seen on camera during a reality show.
Mm-hmm.
And Ted and Nasir really prove why that's a good idea in this sequence.
Yeah.
Because Adam forgets his underpants.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Adam's like, oh, I forgot. There's a talking head of him being like, oh, forgot my boxers. All right. And then it's just him heading back to his room alone, which is next to Erica's room.
Melissa's napping. I wish we had leaned into how oblivious Melissa is through this entire episode more. Melissa is straight up napping during this.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam runs by like, I forgot my underpants!
Yeah, he breaks into a sprint, which means he knows that he's in danger. And Erica gets up like, he can't be this stupid.
She really does. She gets up like slower than you would think because you definitely get the vibe. She's like, this is stupid.
And she does whatever it does to kill somebody.
It's weird because it looks like she essentially like climbs on him on his bed.
And shoves him into a bed.
And he screams her name. We just get a cut back to Ted and Nasir in the shower like, well.
Yeah, they're just looking at each other like, did Adam leave?
He's dead.
He didn't do that, right? That would be stupid. And then I guess they had to go like to me, there's a missing scene where the producers come in and be like, Adam is dead. Melissa, you can't be here right now. So they send Melissa to the boys' shower so that Erica can quote unquote dispose of the body.
Yeah.
And not be around.
Melissa wakes up alone, looks for Erica, and she finds Ted and Nasir and they're like, yo, he's dead. And she's like, nah.
She's completely in her underwear. Just like, I heard Adam scream Erica, so I came here. Which, like...
makes no sense.
She is next to them when they scream. When she screams Erica. And then she walks, like, down a long passageway. This is the only time in the show where I have an idea of what the map of where they are looks like.
But what's great is she's by herself.
Yeah, it's like, I understand.
Like, she's walking alone, the thing you're not supposed to do.
Yes, exactly. And Ted goes, Adam is dead. You need to understand that.
Adam, he's dead. He's dead.
He's dead.
Understand it. He's dead.
He's dead.
And I was like, oh, this is Ted auditioning for a film.
And then Ted tries to warn Melissa she's next, which the death box killed 3 people. No, she's not.
Yeah, that's because he's auditioning for a movie. He's
and Melissa
like, look at me acting.
Melissa's like, I've been alone with Erica a lot. Like, we're always alone together. And then the mastermind goes over the PA and confirms that Adam is dead and that the death box is no longer a factor. So Erica cannot be accused. It's just no longer part of it. So then we get our immunity challenge for the day.
Yes, who will be going to the execution ceremony?
This episode was so boring so far. And we get the straitjacket challenge.
Yes.
They're told to, get this, escape and leave.
Yes.
Untie themselves and leave.
Yeah, what an original idea.
Literally the only challenge they ever have.
They're not hung upside down by their feet, so they can't spin. So they can't just do the Chris Angel escape.
No, they're... My next note here is B-roll python.
Yes, we get a B-roll snake in... This is infuriating. There's no reason for them to be in the dark for this, right? There's not a really good reason for them to be in the dark. But they're in the dark. So it's in grainy, green night vision footage. But there's also clearly a strobe light. Yeah. So what we get to see is green footage followed by it getting, like, whited out. I'm guessing that they realized that watching this through strobe light was impossible. So they did it like this. This is an unpleasant thing to watch.
And I have this moment of, there is no way that this show was registered with the no animals were harmed.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's definitely a high chance that animals were harmed in this show. I mean, Laura throws those probably purchased snakes into the lake.
Into the lake. But what I want to stress about what I was trying to explain here is it's dark and there's a strobe light. There's one line where someone's like, is there a snake? It's too dark to see the snake.
Yeah.
So why would they care? Like, ignorance is bliss. Like, they don't know there's a snake in this challenge. So that's why it's so not scary to them. There's two other real important things I want to bring up.
Yeah.
Ted is seen at one point slamming his shoulder into, like, a pole to, like, try to escape. One, that's actually how you escape a straitjacket often, is you dislocate your shoulder. And that allows you to slip your arm out. So I was like, I get that. But this, to me, is the most important line in the show.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if you caught it.
I don't think I did.
It's a talking head with with Melissa. Melissa is doing a talking head about the challenge and says, the neck on mine was so tight.
The neck on mine was really, really tight. It was almost like every time I moved my neck, it choked me. I kept forgetting to breathe. And because of that, I was shaking really bad.
There's, like, a lot of important subtext there. Because she's implying her straitjacket was tighter than everyone else's. That's her on camera, being used footage, saying the game's rigged.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Because she's saying hers were tighter than everyone else's. I was like, that's really interesting that you used that footage.
I did actually catch that. I wasn't sure if that was something that could be proven, or if she just had never been in a straitjacket before and was surprised how tight the neck was, or...
Right. What I'm kind of saying is, as a director, you should say, take that again and just say the neck was tight.
Yeah.
You don't want to say on mine, because it implies that the others weren't.
Oh. What's great is I have in my notes, they are told to escape and peace out. Erica gets out very quickly and literally goes, peace out! And I was like, I nailed it. And
did the mastermind say peace out, or did we say peace out?
I said peace out in my notes.
Oh, okay.
Which is what made it funny about her yelling peace out, is because it lined up with what I had said.
Gotcha.
And Erica runs again. Like, I love that Erica sprints away from challenges, and I'm like, you are not competing against anyone right now. Because she's done this in a couple of challenges where she runs, and she has no way of knowing, like, buddy, you don't have to run. You can walk.
Yeah.
You're not up against anybody. You won.
Mm-hmm.
Nasir makes it out. Then Melissa gets out just too late. Like,
yeah.
She gets out like a beat after Nasir. And Ted just never gets out.
Ted never gets out. So it is Ted and Melissa going to the execution ceremony. This is the first time that both of them are going. So they've been due.
And then I have in my notes, Melissa is really the only fully likable character left. She's the only person who has killed no one, really hasn't conspired against anybody. She feels like a very natural final girl trope.
Mm-hmm.
Like, almost in the way I kind of in my notes have compared her to Sean from Killer Camp, where part of what spares her is her relationship with the killer, but she is entirely innocent.
Yeah.
She has no hand in anything Erica has done. Ted wants Melissa to die, not fully because he wants to survive, but because Melissa's death will hurt Erica.
Yeah.
Like, all he cares about is hurting Erica. Which is kind of ridiculous. And they go to the challenge, and Ted is wearing, and he wears this a few times. He wears a shirt that has, like, Uncle Ted on it.
Uncle Ted, yes.
Which played better when he seemed like a nice person, but in this episode when it's all about how he wants to hurt another player, specifically, and doesn't care if another character dies to hurt this other person, the Uncle Ted shirt feels really disingenuous.
Yeah, it does.
So they're going to be thrown in the trunk of a car that's in a compactor, and they must escape the car before it is crushed. So they're tied up. They're not tied up.
No, they're just thrown in, and there's like tools in the trunk.
Yeah.
And the cars are loaded onto a compactor.
Yeah.
Which is a real thing that definitely happened.
Oh, it was. It was just filmed. They were just loaded into the compactor later that night after Ted and Melissa had long since left.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, they do show the car getting compacted, so it really does happen. Just not with her in it.
That's what I meant. In any case.
We do see a car get compacted after the challenge.
Yeah, they show them, like, look at the cars being destroyed. And then they get thrown in.
Yeah.
The challenge, like, again, we can't really see anything. But we know they're supposed to break out. There are, like, Allen wrenches and, like, screws being undone and stuff. But to me, it looks like Ted just kicks his way free.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like he just, like, it gets to a point where he's like, I can break this. And he breaks out. The whole time during this challenge, though, they do this thing that infuriates me, where we're supposed to believe that there are human beings in these cars. And they show the cars, and the compactor comes down, touches it, and then goes back up. Which is very clearly the compactor coming down and the footage being reversed.
Huh.
It's, like, brutally obvious.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason that a hydraulic press would bounce off of a car.
Yeah.
Like, it's just them playing the footage backwards. So I just found this whole thing so unbelievable and stupid. Then
I did wonder what they sat there, because it did look like the cars were moving, and I was kind of like, oh, did they sit them on some kind of, like, hydraulic to make the car feel like it was moving?
It's a camera shaking effect. The camera is doing something to make it look like it fakes. Like, what you do is you zoom in on the shot, and then you move the shot left and right. They're in no danger at any point. Like, even the screams, I think, are fake.
Yeah.
So, and done in, like, post. Ted gets out, and in the most confusing part of the show, shows us his bleeding hand.
Yeah.
And he goes like,
That's what it took. That was perfect for me. Perfect.
and his hand's like coated in blood.
Yeah.
At no point after this moment is Ted wearing a Band-Aid, has his hand wrapped up. I was like, I think he stuck his hand in spaghetti.
I have a note of, oh, so Ted has an undressed wound, goes back to the filthy slaughterhouse. 13, MRSA is real.
Yeah, like, oh, it's so dumb. Like,
and Ted, who I previously up to this episode liked, feels so unlikable after this episode. And I'm like, oh, we're just down. The final 3 are all people who are kind of unlikable.
see, this is a problem I've seen in other reality shows. I don't want to, there's a really good example, but I don't want to say what it is because it's something we might cover on this show. But when you spend a lot of time making someone a villain, and then they end up in the final 2 with the other villain, and then you have to make this hard left turn into like, oh, no, but this is a redemption arc. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, because they set up Erica to be a red herring and then the villain through so much of the show. And then Ted wants Melissa dead just to hurt Erica. And Nasir is the most likable of the 3 at this point. Mostly because he's been really, like...
sidelined is the way, what I would say, is that we don't see him much.
No, hold up. Nasir gets thrown into the death challenge in the 2nd episode because he makes an accusation.
Yes.
So he's also the first person to be like, you did it.
Can we go back, actually? When we are at that point where Ted knows Erica's the killer, and Erica's basically like, I'm not doing your bidding anymore.
Yeah.
Ted doesn't accuse her.
Well, I think you explained that, one, Ted would have had to convince Melissa at any point up to Adam's death, which would have been impossible. Two, if it would have just been, okay, well, that just means Erica has to go into the challenge? Because is that how it would work?
So here's the things that we can discuss here. I understand your point, like, if after Adam's death, Ted was like, Erica's the killer.
Yeah.
And then was able to completely prove it was definitely Erica. Erica would have gone to the elimination ceremony. And then the three of them would still have had to compete in the straitjacket game. And 2 people would still go. So if there's 4 people in the straitjacket game, there's a 50-50 chance that you're going to the elimination.
Right.
If 3 people are in the elimination game, there's a 66.6% you're going, because Erica's already going. Yeah. We can also take into account, though, that just because that's how it worked the first time is not how it will work this time, because I don't think they had a third car compactor ready to go.
True.
But my point is this. Once Ted realizes Erica's not going to do my bidding, he should then know, okay, Melissa's not going to get killed. It will either be me, Adam, or Nasir. It is safer to accuse Erica, take the box from her, and make sure I don't get murdered by her, than it is to, back off and not do anything. But there is the problem of Melissa would have to agree with them, right? I understand the idea, we're not even going to try because Melissa's not going to join us. That's an okay thing to feel. Mm-hmm. It'd be a great beat if this were, say, a television show where we, instead of saying, Melissa won't join us, we actually saw that happen.
Yeah, that's...
Man, what a beat that would be in a show.
Well, I also felt like there's a really good chance that once Erica killed Adam, it was off the table. Nobody cared anymore.
That's how it felt. Yeah. Instead of it being an impactful thing, it's like, all right, well, whatever. Adam's dead. We don't even get last words from him. Well, actually, we do. It's Erica!
Yeah.
Let's go to the finale of this. I have to start with this again.
Yeah.
There's an unbelievably long recap at the beginning of this.
Yeah, I crochet nearly an entire row of my scarf.
Going over every death.
Yeah.
We once again have to hear about people getting buried alive and eaten by rats.
Yep. So, there's not really, a likable final girl or boy. So, are you rooting for anybody?
I'm rooting for the mastermind.
Yeah, I'm not rooting for anyone. Nor is there anyone I don't like enough to see want to lose because I want them to lose. We are falling victim to the most dangerous phrase in media. I don't care what happens to these people.
No.
If I were not watching this as a project, if I'd been watching this as a casual viewer, I probably would not have bothered with the finale.
Yeah. Because I don't care who wins.
So, Ted and Nasir have a plan to give Erica the silent treatment and ice her out. And I actually have a note. The boys have been mean girls the whole show.
Yeah.
The boys, through the entire series, have been really unkind to the female players.
Well, Ted helped, what's-her-name, find a ring that one time.
Didn't he help Leah, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he do that because he didn't want Rodney?
Yeah.
The only little nice moments have been between people who seem to have an interest in one another. Or expressly to take out another player. So they all have headphones on. I do have, like, last episode Erica was a murderer. This episode you kind of feel like she's being bullied.
Yeah, that poor murderer.
They all have noise cancellation headphones on, and they go back to the cabin where they started.
They do?
Yeah, they go back toward where the cabin is.
They go back to the cabin from the first episode?
Yeah, that's what they said they were going to.
They said they're going back to the swamp because they sleep in a tent.
Yeah, they do. They're going back toward the cabin.
Towards, okay. Just wanted to make that clear.
And we see the fighting B-roll gators!
There's a B-roll gator!
Now, if you're watching this in the YouTube feed, you might be seeing something very special right now.
Yes, we are happy to announce we are in the process of making Stay Doomed merch.
And we will be using our logo.
Yes.
And our first piece of merch is going to be a team shirt for our favorite sports team, the Fightin' B-Roll Gators.
Fightin' B-Roll Gators!
Thank you to Chris Ruiz for both logos.
Yes, so we're working on making that a reality, but yeah, you take a look at the B-Roll Gators logo and join the B-Roll Gators.
Good evening, B-Roll Gators. So they're sleeping in a tent, and what happens next is the clearest day to night filming I've ever seen in my life.
It's very clear that it's day to night because we know what nighttime looks like on this show.
Bad.
It looks either unwatchable because it's just watched through like a flashlight, or it's unwatchable because it's like the night vision, green vision. This is so clearly day to night because they had to make it look dark because God forbid there's a moment where we can see the television show.
Seriously. The only other day to night filming I can think of that's this egregious, just to give you some Salute Your Shorts, is the only other time I can think of that I've seen day to night that's this obvious. Salute Your Shorts, now it must be mentioned, was a children's show in the 1990s that had to deal with laws
Yes.
about when their actors could work. Really clear day to night filming still somehow looks like crap.
Yes.
They come across an altar of all of the people who had previously died on the show. And it's all of the pictures are like a still from their execution ceremony.
Yes. It's like, oh, look at the rats.
Right,
Oh.
from Lauren to Melissa.
Yeah. Ooh.
Now they're in day. They all slept in the same tent.
Yeah.
But we don't get any of the Ted and Nasir icing Erica out that would add drama.
Yeah. No, because we have to waste time with one of the most boring things I've ever seen. They pointlessly make voodoo dolls of each other.
Yeah.
For like 10 minutes. And like it's a whole thing about like you make a voodoo doll of the person you think is the greatest threat. And then they stab themselves with a needle and put some of their own blood on it, which is
another open wound in this filthy situation.
So, yeah, the thing is, one, they make it look like they're all using the same needle.
Which I'm sure they're not.
Which, God, I hope not. And two, that is not how voodoo dolls work. You need something of the person who the doll is. Not your own. You're making a voodoo doll of you, then.
And they all kind of, like... Erica makes hers of...
Nasir.
Yeah, Nasir. Nasir makes his of Ted.
Yeah.
And Ted makes his of Erica.
Yes, perfect Pokemon triangle.
Which is weird because it doesn't make any sense why Nasir would not just also make his of Erica.
Because he didn't see Erica as a threat.
Yeah, so it just already shows that, like, Ted and Nasir, who I think their friendship was supposed to be the emotional core of this part of the series, they are already turning on each other, and we're, like, 10 minutes into the finale.
Yeah.
And they haven't been forced to turn on each other yet, because that would have been a really interesting dramatic moment, but Nasir blows that dramatic moment on this pointless voodoo doll challenge. Never mind that it's also super problematic, but...
Yeah, and, like, again, Ted's trying to audition for a movie. He stabs his doll with, like, a knife.
Yeah.
But, like, nothing is happening.
So, they get blindfolded and dropped off in the woods again for the first challenge of the night. which is 3 individual death boxes. And the challenge will not end until one person has found and used a death box.
Yes, so the 3 of them are separated by the minions and are now just running around in the dark, looking to find a death box, crack the code to open it,
yeah,
and then use it on one of your competitors. In an absolutely fantastic talking head, we get...
My strategy was to find a death box as soon as possible.
Really? Your strategy,
My strategy is to win.
Yeah, exactly! No one could coach anyone to say something interesting?
So Nasir is the first one to successfully open a box. So he just kind of...
Pause.
Okay.
Nasir opens a box, right?
Yeah.
What was the code?
I don't know.
Yeah, they never tell us. They make a whole song and dance about how there's a puzzle that we never see the solution to.
And so he's just kind of wandering around. Erica shows up, and Nasir sees her chance and stalks her through the darkness for a little while before she loses him. Prey becoming Predator and Predator becoming Prey would have been a really interesting beat in a better show.
Yes. You could have told a story of Nasir being like, oh, I thought about what she did to my friends, like Cody and Adam. I took my moment for revenge. Instead, Nasir says something like, I felt hungry.
Yeah.
Ted bravely hides in the woods.
Not yet. Ted does run around. Nasir sees Ted's flashlight and gives chase. And Ted's like, oh crap, someone's got a box. I'ma hide.
Yeah.
So he bravely runs away.
Yes.
And he chooses to hide in the woods and just hopes that one of them takes the other out. What if they'd all done this? And it was just them sitting in the woods for...
I'm just gonna hide and hope someone else does it.
So, finally...
They're boring people. I could see that of happening.
26 minutes and 40 seconds into this 40-minute finale, something happens. Nasir finally corners Erica, and in my notes, it looks like he spears her, like Roman Reigns.
It's too blurry to really know what happens. Because we're in that grainy, green night vision again.
So...
Yeah, and also, I just want to talk about the Freudian slip I wrote down. I wrote down, Nasir kisses Erica instead of kills. I don't know why.
Erica does a ton of screaming. And then the mastermind essentially, instead of saying, like, Erica has been killed by Nasir, the mastermind goes, Ted, Nasir has killed Erica. And I get
Stop hiding.
Because he's the only character who is not involved at the moment. But it really comes off like, Ted, stop hiding, you little coward.
Yeah, I guess Nasir and Erica are aware of what happened.
Yeah, but it is funny. And then we get the final challenge.
Yes.
This reminds me of Whodunit. Negative. It's just a fairly simple speed test.
Yeah.
For all the marbles.
It at least has like very clear instructions of like, you are going to look for a cemetery, dig up a grave. Mm-hmm. In there you will find bolt cutters. The bolt cutters will let you open up a barrel. The barrel has a key to...
the mastermind's cabin.
Mastermind cabin where you'll find me.
And
win.
I had the pitch, the mastermind should turn out to be Lauren.
So yes, at this point, they kind of make reference that they're going to find out who the mastermind is. And I was like, oh, that's not something that they had questioned ever before. That the mastermind was going to be a reveal. And I had the same thought of like, why else would they show Lauren being buried alive every episode unless she's the mastermind? Additionally, often in reality show contracts, it will state that you are guaranteed to be on at least 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Usually because you come back at the end to be part of like the jury or the reunion special or whatever. And I was like, this would be a great way to make sure that the first person eliminated gets 2 episodes if they get to be the mastermind at the end. They suddenly set up that the mastermind's important. That's going to be what's happening. Or it's going to be Sam Raimi. Those are the two things that I think.
Because especially with the buried alive thing, it would have been the easiest to fake.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I got out too. And then like you just see a shot of her having like a mask that we didn't see before.
Yeah.
Of like, I got out, I just waited for, Kelly to run. And we hear chainsaws at one point, and Nasir runs away from chainsaws, because I guess that is the way that they're narrowing the playfield. Like, I think he was trying to stray off of the map, so to speak. So I think the chainsaw guy was to, like...
Yeah, get back this way.
Like, to put Nasir back on, like, the playfield.
Yeah, and whenever we see... We also, at times, see through the eyes of the Chainsaw Man, and he has orange vision.
Not yet.
No, we do.
We do. It's, like, toward the very end.
Both times we do. Because I have a note that I was like, why is it orange? It's like, oh, that's the Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, because I have this needs more... Blair Witch is a decade old by this point. Because this all looks so Blair Witchy.
Yes, I have a big comment about that exact thing later.
And I do have the note of, like, Ted and Nasir's to the end pact pays off. And they're both kind of, like, they're not there yet. They're still trying to figure it out.
They're not where yet.
Neither of them's found anything yet.
Yes.
At this point.
This is a big thing I want to point out. They give the instructions of, like, dig up the grave, find the barrel, or open the barrel, get to the cabin. I think, this is a path. So I was excited for this final game because I'll be like, they'll be neck and neck against each other, digging and stuff like that. Nope, we're immediately back to they're somewhere in the woods near something without any context of anything.
Yep.
I was like, I actually thought we were going to see a challenge.
Ted tries to make a deal with Nasir, who's not having any of it.
This to me is a big missed moment.
Yeah.
The two of them run into each other, and they're like, did you find anything yet? No. Did you find anything? No. Do you want to strike a deal? And Nasir's like, no. That's not going to play. But there could have at least been a moment of like, hey, we're both even right now. Like, we're both in the same situation that we haven't found anything. Do you want to sit down for a moment?
Yeah.
And had a great moment where the two of them were like, hey, only one of us can win this. And add some sort of, like, stakes or meaning to something. Instead, it's just like, bah!
And have, like, this emotional moment of, like, we did it. I promised you we'd get to the end together. And we did. Made the best man win. Like, having that, like, little... It also would have kind of gone a long way toward making them a little more likable in the end. Because nobody's likable at this point.
It needed that Dread Pirate Roberts and, what's his name?
Inigo Montoya?
Inigo Montoya moment where he climbs up the cliff and he's like, get your breath.
Yeah.
And, like, they just kind of take a moment to be together before, like, going through the challenge. I think that would have been great. We can't have nice things with this show.
So, there's a point where, like, Ted finds something and is digging with his hands. I have that moment of, isn't his hand all jacked up?
Yeah, again, he never wears a bandage.
Which is never mentioned either.
Yeah.
It's not like, I'm still dealing with the wounds in my hand from the previous death challenge. Because that would have made it more interesting if one of the players was injured from a run-in with the mastermind. Like, having a player... That's horror movie 101. The final girl, final boy, whoever, always has, like, something on them that's a little jacked up.
Yeah,
like
something to overcome.
Yeah. And then I have a note of, he's going to spend the entire $66,000 prize if he wins dealing with the American healthcare system.
Yeah.
They all have to touch filthy stuff and canonically have a hand wound.
Mm-hmm.
We do get something we haven't gotten during the other challenges, which is helpful. Talking heads.
We do get a few talking heads during this, which is much better.
And then Ted tells Nasir he found the pet cemetery, but won't give him anything else. Won't give him what it looked like, won't give him where he found it.
You know, I can't tell you.
And then Ted finds the barrel, and it's full of snakes.
Yes, and I yell, snakes and barrels. And you have no response. And I was like, snakes and barrels is totally a thing, right? And then I thought about it for a long time. Like, where did I get the comment snakes and barrels? It's Pickles' band from Metalocalypse. He's in Snakes and Barrels.
Which is why I didn't get it, because that's not my cup of tea. My note here is, and I quote, one-trick pony-ass show.
Yeah. Snakes are the scariest thing in the world, apparently.
It's snakes, and it's snakes and viscera.
Yeah.
It's all they know.
There was the one time there were scorpions, but that was the one-off. And B-roll gators.
So Nasir still hasn't found the cemetery as Ted digs through yet more viscera for keys. This show is so nasty. Ted finally does find the key in the barrel, which he immediately drops.
Yes, which was great. He's like, oh, no! But he finds the key, and the mastermind goes, Ted found the key. Nasir, you lost. I was like, he doesn't have to get to the cabin? Wow, this couldn't be more anticlimactic.
So, Nasir gets taken out by a minion with a chainsaw.
Yes, he gets, instead of the trapper from Killer Camp, it's the hillbilly. That's the Dead by Daylight killer they went with.
Yeah, I missed the trapper.
Yeah, me too.
Here comes the trapper! Shout out to Bruce the Handyman. And Ted is told to find the cabin, meet the mastermind, and claim his prize. Which apparently takes all night. Because it is sunrise.
It is sunrise now.
It's not sunrise. It is day.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably early morning, but it's not like golden hour.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably 7, 8 a.m.
Yeah, at least.
He enters the cabin to find it empty, but the satchel full of money has been left there for him.
No, he does not. He walks in and he finds the money and he finds the mastermind turned around in the chair.
Which I didn't see at first.
Yeah. He's like, oh, we're finally going to reveal who the mastermind is. And turns the chair around and he's wearing a mask. The mask is removed.
A 1-minute timer has started at this point.
Yes, he accidentally trips a timer with his foot. That like, he doesn't realize.
Yeah.
The mask is removed, and it's a mannequin.
Yeah. No.
And then we get a talking head of Ted being like, I don't think I'm ever going to know who the mastermind is. And I was like, when was that a plot point?
No.
Of finding out who this was? The way that you didn't set it up, and then suddenly it was really important just to disappoint us, is the epitome of this show.
Yeah. And he flees, jumps into the canoe, and escapes.
Yeah, he canoes away, and the cat...
all I want is for something to come out of the bayou and get him.
Yeah, for the Friday the 13th ending.
Situation.
Yeah. The cabin explodes. That's where the budget went. And then Ted leaves happy with his $66,000. And we get like a final shot of the mastermind crossing
off Nasir and Erica.
Yeah, Nasir and Erica off, and then he kind of like focuses on Ted. And then the show's over.
This show's bad.
This show's really bad. Like, to introduce this whole, like, mystery element of who is the mastermind on the last episode, like it was going to be important. Like, there's no suspects left.
No.
The only person who's still alive is Ted. Like, it reminds me, there's a great DC comic where Lex Luthor and the Flash switch bodies.
Yeah.
So Lex Luthor is in the Flash's body. And he goes, oh my God, I'm about to find out who the Flash is. And he takes the mask off and looks in the mirror and goes, I have no idea who this man is. Because why would that person matter to Lex Luthor?
Yeah.
And that's how I felt like this. It was like, there's no one it could possibly be that would be satisfying. Because you didn't set anyone up to be a suspect. Like, there can't be a twist if there's no expected outcome. Terrible.
I think there is something that could have been done. I think they could have done a really interesting, like, halfway through when we started to, like, change locations, set up that it was I was among you for a while. I'm not with you now. but I was. Who was I? And kind of set up the idea, like, it was one of the original characters.
Yeah.
And that there had been, you know, a mole, essentially.
Yeah, that would be great. It'd be great for it to be Lauren to come back from episode 1. Maybe, not Melissa, Stephanie, the first victim of the killer.
Yeah, that she had faked it, essentially.
Yeah. A lot of good stuff you could have done, just with slightly more planning.
This show feels simultaneously very micromanaged and not remotely managed enough.
Yeah.
They don't know how to construct the stories.
Yeah. And I know I said this in a previous episode, but I think it bears repeating. The mistake of how they do the talking heads. That the talking heads are still handheld.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we live in this world where the camera is kind of this floating invisible person, but everything's kind of that handheld, shaky, fly on the wall thing. There's no perfect shots from like a tripod.
Yeah.
That's usually reserved for the confessionals because they're kind of out of that situation. They're out of time and they're explaining things. The fact that they're equally as handheld breaks that illusion of there being a confessional area. And now it's just like, well, are other people nearby that can hear this? Because that's a problem. How much better would this have been if all the confessionals, all the talking heads, were handheld by the person doing the talking?
Yeah.
Like the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
There's a pretty good talking head in the Blair Witch Project where someone's crying and apologizing. The fact that they do it that way for the last words, but not the other talking heads, is so stupid. Because they do a really good job. Listen to me complimenting this show. Especially in the slaughterhouse parts, where when they're filming them, there's like a shot of the camera moving from behind a wall and shooting through a hole.
Yes, there is.
Like, it creates that feeling of like, we're watching something voyeuristic. It is believable that the contestants in this are unaware that the camera's there.
Yeah.
And just like, that's a great little touch. To lose that in the talking head, very frustrating. Very, very, very frustrating.
This show badly needed a host.
It super needed a host. Not the mastermind talking as a disembodied voice. Someone we could relate to.
It needed... I keep comparing this show unfavorably to Killer Camp. It needed Bobby.
Yes.
Maybe not tonally a Bobby Mayer type, but it needed that person to kind of shepherd everyone around and set camp and kind of like, because obviously someone was giving them instructions, but by making that clearer, you also could have had that more clear to the audience, and you could have had, because one of the things I really liked that Killer Camp did was setting up the elimination as a ghost story.
Right.
Where it did the, like, they go for the 2 walks, and then you find out who was murdered. And having someone have that, like, with the host, giving the killer someone that they talk to and can connect with, like, the, you know, your counselor Bobby knows who the killer is. And can, like, give them that instruction.
Yeah.
Clarifying how to accuse.
Yes.
Because the accusation process is really ambiguous.
And it only happens once.
Because I think it's so confusing that nobody wants to accuse anyone after that.
Like, I feel like you just do it every day. Every day there's an accusation ceremony where it's like, the vote must be unanimous. And then you can just read the votes and be like, these votes are not unanimous. Go about your day. That would work great. That would work great. But there's too much influx with this show. You don't know how the killer box really works, ever.
No, you never know how it works.
And there's a word that you used many times here that I think we really need to discuss, because this is what, our 5th murder game show that we've done. We've done Killer Camp. We've done this. We've done Murder in a Small Town X. Whodunit, and Escape the Night.
Yes.
And that word is camp.
Yes.
Killer Camp, believe it or not, is very campy.
Yeah. Escape the Night is very campy.
Is very camp, and like, especially like Whodunit and...
Whodunit is really, 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 really campy.
Yeah, like there's a silliness to everything. It's that, like, this tries to be like a gritty, dark take on the murder game show.
Yes.
But like all the other ones, there's a very much lightheartedness. Like Killer Camp is at the top to me because like it's all about Counselor Bobby telling the story at the end where someone dies ridiculously. Someone dies ridiculously in Whodunit. In Escape the Night, there is a bit of like seriousness. Like there's people like crying as Justine gets buried alive and stuff like that. But there's this great reprieve, in that it's usually very silly in the talking heads.
Yeah.
Like there's lots of jokes and, you know, it's kind of fun. The only one that really doesn't make it campy is Murder in a Small Town X. Mm-hmm. And you know what the big difference between Murder in a Small Town X and all of the shows I just described?
Murder in a Small Town X is a cop show, essentially.
True. It's like a true crime show.
Yeah.
Murder in a Small Town X, the killer's not a contestant.
Yes.
It's very difficult to make one of the characters a killer and for it to be gritty, because then we can never cheer for them because they're a murderer. But if the kills are all like silly, zany, Looney Tunes...
Did Don get eaten by
a puma? By a mountain lion? Like, that stuff we can sit back and laugh at and then, like, get into this. But instead, it's just like, we don't know what happens when you die in 13 Fear is Real. There's just a bloody glove left.
Yeah.
Like, there's no fun to this. So it's making us immediately hate Erica. But then we also hate Ted because he's a douchebag.
I think one of the things the show is missing is I think they didn't cast a personality. They needed that snarky comic contestant.
Yeah.
They needed someone who was like... Because they cast, 13 very physically attractive people to run around screaming their underwear. Any decent horror movie anything in a post-Scream world, there's a snarky character.
Yeah.
There's always that little bit of, like, comedy.
Yeah, you need Sean William Scott in Final Destination. You need that.
Yeah.
That bit of just like... it's an effective tool to have the one that's kind of, like, funny and light to make it impactful when they die.
Yeah, like that person, I hate to say it, really never makes it to the end. That's very seldom the person that survives.
Were people in this show that I didn't want to see die. They never went to the elimination game until they got to the point where I didn't mind if they died.
Yeah. I liked... Melissa was like the last person that I wanted to see win.
Yeah.
And then when Melissa died in the penultimate episode, I was like, oh, I really don't care about the other three.
I'm pretty sure in the last episode we recorded, I was like, I hope Ted wins because Ted's the only one playing the game.
Yeah.
And then they successfully made me hate Ted in 2 episodes.
Yeah. Really did.
Because it stopped being a game and it all became about Ted being like, he's dead. You gotta understand that. Like, stop. Understand what movie you're auditioning for. Like, you are not auditioning for Nosferatu right now. You are auditioning for Crackoon. Okay? So, give us the Crackoon performance, please. Shout out to Crackoon. Yeah. Which is a real film.
Yeah. I've been writing about all of the shows in contrast with each other, and I think the biggest hole is that 13 Fear is Real needed maybe totally closer to Giles than Bobby Mayer. Or even, like, I think having the host be clearly aligned with the mastermind. I mean, we even, to compare it to Saul, because this show wants to be Saul real bad, a Billy or an Amanda.
Yeah. I would like to have seen, like, someone who... Because Giles was, like, cursed, right?
Yes.
I would like to have seen more of a Igor-like character, where it's something like... Because his name was the Mastermind. Mm-hmm. You could have someone like, this will please the master.
Yeah.
And, like, this person who's, like, clearly... Like, you should feel bad for him because he can't break free from this weird relationship that he has with the Mastermind, and the Mastermind mistreats him.
Yeah.
I think a much better ending would be to have Ted replace that character at the end.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think there should have been I hate to say, I think we should have gotten the implication that something bad happened to Ted. Because that's when we get at the end of Killer Camp. I think they were thinking, we'll bring him back in season 2. Yeah. And
that is 100% what I was thinking.
Oh, God, this was not a fun.
No, it's not a good show. It's just not. And I tried to like it, but, like, if we were making a tier list of the murder game shows, this would be at the bottom. For sure.
For sure.
And speaking of tier list, I've lost the tier list that we had for our reality show hosts. So
Mastermind's barely a host.
Yeah.
I don't even think I would
He's
count.
Definitely in the forgettable land.
Yeah.
Because he's nothing. Or she's nothing. Who knows? We don't know the Mastermind's gender. It's all Trivia Murder Party.
Yes.
Play Trivia Murder Party instead of seeing this.
For sure.
So that's going to do it for 1313 Fear in the Game. Unless you had anything else to add.
I did not. 1313 Fear is real. You finally said
It's also just 113. In any case, Laura, what are we doing next week?
Next week, we will be casting our votes for the nominations for the Razzie Awards.
Yes, it's going to be a special episode because we're heading into Razzie Month.
Razzie Month!
So there might be an episode after that, depending on when the Razzies nominations go out, but then we're going to be diving into Razzie Month. So get excited for Razzie Month.
Razzie Month!
And where can people find us?
You can email us at thestaydoomedshow@gmail.com or on Facebook or Blue Sky at Stay Doomed.
And if you want to nerd out with me about how different shots convey different realities when discussing putting together a narrative, I'm at TV's Noah on Instagram and Blue Sky.
If you have any ideas of what kind of host would have fixed this show, I'm at Laura Crane on Blue Sky. Until next time, stay doomed.